Yo, what is going on, guys? This is TSC here, back again with a rare video, but this time it's a little bit more serious. And as you can tell from the title, this is going to be about Red Reserve, and it's mainly going to be my story. Anyways, I actually really didn't want to make this video, I really didn't want to have to make this video, but my kind of point about this video is actually to highlight the serious issues with communication within the Red Reserve team, and also my story of how I felt like I've been quote-unquote used for the past 4 or so months by the team to help achieve a goal they have, or help them do something what they wanted, but mainly also the communication stuff. Anyways, to get into it, I'll start by telling my own story. So if you go back to November last year, about actually probably late October, Pure had placed 4 times in a row on Scarce's top 5 underrated teams, and the 4th time we placed was with the CSGO team frag movie. And at the same time, Red was looking to get into the CS scene. FaZe was talking about it. No team were really into it except for Pure at the point. But Red wanted to get into it, and the only guy they could see doing this at the time was me. And that's why the moment we released the team frag movie, the moment Scarce saw it, he contacted me. He followed me and he contacted me. He called us out. He put us in the video, but he also at the same time asked me to join in behind the scenes and help Red make their own CSGO team. And I was really excited back then. I was really excited to get this opportunity. Obviously, I would never leave Pure, even if I wasn't Red. I would never leave Pure behind. I would still lead Pure with just as much passion as I am right now, but the opportunity to be a leader of Red, the opportunity to become part of the FaZe organization really intrigued me. So we got into the work, we put together the team they were looking for. Didn't really match up with my vision of how they probably should have, but we put together a somewhat solid team, and I was still looking for people. Problem was, already back then was a huge lack of communication. It took way longer than expected, because I would sometimes message them for days without getting a reply, and then get a reply, so we could move on with stuff. And at one point they decided to disband it, but they forgot to tell me for like 2 weeks. And at that point I actually found big YouTubers, who I'll get into later, some of them you'll hear about later, but that I got in on this project, and then they told me that they didn't want to do this anymore. So I had to go and tell these people that it didn't work out, obviously. And to be honest, as a team of Red stature, you should really be able to just have the communication on point, because at this point you make yourself look really bad to these people, organizatory wise, if you get me. Anyways, it was disbanded. I was really disappointed. That's how it is, obviously it would be. But a lot of time went, about a month. And we were nearing up New Year, and then I was contacted again, because now, this time, instead of being Scarce, it was actually Formula who contacted me, telling me that we were gonna do this again, but this time it would be with proper communication between me and him, and just getting the right people. So we, obviously I was a little bit hesitant this time, but the opportunity was still there, and I was still a bit excited about it. So I jumped straight into it again, and we found a solid roster of people. This time, actually, we were sitting with people like Ungungan, Skits Machine, NATO Suffix, Hopping Around, Dara Edits, and Chambo. Some of these people you might actually recognize from the Red roster right now, but only a few of them, and that's kind of the point of this, because we were sitting with this roster, and I recruited most of these people except for 2 of them, those 2 being Ungungan and Skits Machine, who I didn't get to recruit. I only showed them to Scarce and Form, and then they contacted them. Obviously, they didn't know who I was. I was not officially affiliated with Red. I was promised many times that I would become a leader of Red. Even the first time, and during many times, I was just, as soon as we get these people, you'll become a leader of Red. Like, I constantly, I was told this, and obviously that motivated me a lot, because that opportunity was huge for me. But yeah, we had this roster of people, and it was great. And we got a date set for the announcement, and I would be announced as leader of Red at the same time. I was getting really excited for this, and then so were the people involved. Like this was most of them, at least, this was something really new for the CS:GO scene. This is not something you see. Only we had a small scale on Pure, but this is nothing compared to it. But we set the date for the announcement, and then when the date came, nothing happened. There was never an announcement on Red at all, and I asked Formula and Scarce what was up, and they told me that something had held them back. They were getting a new logo, they were getting a website. It wasn't really ready yet, so we got a new date, and that was fine by me. So we waited, and then that date passed, and then again nothing happened. And then during all this time, I obviously talked a lot with these members. I had this philosophy that you really need to get to know the people you're working with, because that's the best way to just find out what they want to do and put that into function in your team. And a really good team is also a close team, and that's why like I really focus on getting everybody on the pure and in the Discord so we can talk all the time, for example. But yeah, I was getting to know these people, and then I learned that Ungungan and Sketch Machine, the two people I didn't get to talk to, that Formula and Scarce talked to, they were actually completely misinformed about this, and they had never agreed to it in the first place. They were just put in the chat because they agreed to hear more about it, and they were interested, the keyword here, in hearing more about it, but never did they say yes to the project in itself. I then explained to them what was going on, and the moment I did that, they actually decided that this was not for them. They didn't support the idea that being part of this, they felt like you would kind of ruin the entire CSGO YouTube scene by having people on the team instead of solo, and I completely get that. I also see a lot of advantages with having people in a team, but that's it's not part of this anyways. But they decided to abandon the project, so we were left with 4. And at this moment, I really tried and push Scarce and Formula to just announce this, but they were still hesitant. They were still waiting for this website. I'm not even sure if Red has a website yet. No, I don't think so, not yet. So you can see like how that's going. And in the middle of all this, the entire Scarce situation of him getting kicked came along, and it really also created some problems in this. But you can kind of like look back and see how much time passed since the beginning. If we were talking November till when Scarce was kicked. More people actually jumped off later on. Hoppin, for example, jumped off, and then we were left with even fewer people. And I still was pushing for this just to be announced, because in my head it was just the smartest thing. The market for finding new people, replacements for the ones that didn't want to go to this, isn't that big. If you follow the CSGO YouTube scene, it's not that big. There are many people to choose from, and you need to find people that are also up for the idea of being on a team. Especially a team that also has Call of Duty, and we had a good group of people of that. So I'm not quite sure what kept them from announcing them, but it kept being pushed back, and the communication went from being like I was getting straight replies finally for a long period of time to me getting replies every now and then, and it was looking really bad. And then actually suddenly they started announcing the people. We also found a streamer at one point, Game Guy as well, that we recruited to replace some of the people we lost. And then here comes the people you see on the red roster right now for CS are the people that ended up being announced. They were announced one by one. I was never actually told about this. I just found out. I was on Twitter one night, and then suddenly they started announcing the first one. I was never told about it. I tried PMing Formula about it afterwards. Never got a reply actually. But then again, the next few days they announced the rest of them, and suddenly we had announced this team. I think it's about 3 right now. 3 of them were announced, and then the last one, NATO Suffix, who was also on it, he was never announced, and I don't think he ever will be. I'm pretty sure he also jumped away from it. I haven't been told. I talked with him a lot, but I haven't asked him actually yet. But I saw him joining a pro team the other day, so I'm quite sure he also left this. And it's just this constant postponing actually ended up worsening the situation for Red, because right now they sit with this team, which is it's not a bad team, not at all. But it's definitely not what it could have been, and I think that's the main point. And at the same time, right now, like, Formula is leading Red alone. He is he's actually the only leader of Red officially. Hackster left shortly ago. Actually, during all this time, I was never officially introduced to Hackster. bicycle guys in the Formula, but I knew him. I knew him from TS. I knew him through my old TS buddies as well. We were in the same team a long time ago, and I talked with him about all this and how he felt about this as well. I'm not gonna tell you guys what he said, because that's up to him in the end. So, but anyways, like, he was also not being told anything. He was not being told about this. I was the one telling him about this. He was never told about it. And now he's also decided to leave Red not so long ago, and Formula's back again, leading alone. And all these people have been announced, and now I'm sitting here again. And this is exactly the reason why I had to make this video, because I think this is the only way I can get real closure on this. Because I haven't gotten a reply from Formula since early March, and that's despite me messaging him numerable times. I've sent him many messages, both on Skype, Discord, and Twitter DMs, but never gotten a reply. And I feel like I'm at the point right now where I'm getting cut off, because I've done my part, and now they don't really have to announce me. And they never really. Obviously, it's not my choice. It's not my decision. It was never a signed contract or anything. But I feel like this is the only way I can get my story out. It feels really good to get it out, but then again, there's a possibility of me being able to raise some serious questions about how Red is run. I have a lot of opinions on it. That I obviously, keeping out of this video, I wanted to keep it short and precise. But there's a lot that I could be talking about. Because this is a long period of time. I've experienced a lot, and I've seen a lot from the outside as well. But I'll keep that for another video if you guys want to hear about it. But anyways, this is pretty much what I have to say in this. Let me know what you think about this. Share this video around if you think it needs some more attention. But I'm just happy I got to share my story, and now it's at least out there. Now I told what happened from my perspective, and I get a little bit of closure on it. And yeah, I think that was it. So this has been TC, and I'm out. Bye, guys.